Okay, what we're looking at are the answers to the guided practice again on page 600, leading into find the volume of cones. Now again, the volume of cones is pi, the radius squared, times the height divided by 3. So when I look here at that first one, that's 3.14 times the radius squared times the height, all divided by 3. So when I take a look at this, my radius is right there. That's part of the circle, so that's 14. The height is here, which is 13. Now what I end up doing is I just plug all those into the calculator. Well, 14 times 14 is 196, times the 13, times the 3.14, divide that by 3. And I get basically something that looks like this. But I want to get to the nearest tenth. So I look here. That's a 0. So it's 2,666.9, and this is meters cubed. Now I want to do the same thing here in number 2. I have the 3.14. And I put the radius here, which is 6, the height here, which is 28. Now when I plug all of these into my calculator, I get something that looks like this. But again, if I look here, it's telling me to that nearest tenth, so one place after the decimal. Well, that's a 0. The number behind it's still a 4. So I'm going to end up just dropping the 0, 1,055, in this case, millimeters cubed. Now, number 3, here, it gives me the diameter, not the radius. So I have to cut that in half. So that gives me 5. Now, they gave me the information without the diagram, but all I have to do is plug it in. So the volume, 3.14, times now 5 squared, times 9, divided by the 3. So I have the 3.14 times the 5 squared is 25, times the 9, divide that by 3, and I actually just get 235.5. I have nothing there that I have to worry about rounding because that's already at the tenth. Now this next one gives me 3.14 squared and the height. And it's again divided by 3. But if I take a look, okay, there's my radius, that's 45. That's 120. And again, with these, you really want to do the calculator because those make up some pretty big numbers. But when I do it, I get 254,340 millimeters cubed. Now we get to 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are composite figures. Here you want to find the volume of this figure. You have two figures. The first thing I notice is that cylinder. The cylinder, 3.14. Now notice they gave me all the way across. So that's from here to here. They're really telling me that diameter. Again, I want to cut it in half. So that becomes 5. So it's 5 squared, and there's my height, only for the cylinder, which is right there, which is 3. Now, because it's a cylinder, I don't need to divide by 3. So when I do this, 3.14 times 25 times 3 gives me, actually, that same 235.5. And in this case, it's centimeters cubed. Now, the second shape I have here is this cone. Now, it's 3.14. Because it's right on top of that cylinder, it has the same radius, which is 25. But its height, which they gave me right here, which is really from here to here, is 4. and I divide that by 3. Well, when I do all of that, so we go 3.14 times 25 times 4, then I take that, divide it by 3, I get all of this here. Again, it's the nearest tenth, so I look here, that's a 6. The number behind it's also a 6, so because it's 5 or greater, I round it up. So it's 104.7. And that also is centimeters cubed. So now I want my total. 235.5, 104.7, and I need to add those together. That's 12, regroup, okay, that's 10. I have to bring that decimal straight down, bring that over 4, 3. So it's 340.2 centimeters cubed, and that's the volume of that figure. Now we're to number 6. This is my 2 cones that are put together end to end. So I have the cone 1, which has the stripes. Well, the striped one here is 3.14. They gave me here, that's at radius, that's 5 squared, times the height for the striped one from here to here is just 13 divided by 3. Well, I put all those together. It gives me the same sort of thing where I need to round. So when I round, it becomes 340.2 inches cubed. The second cone, cone 2, which has the dots, again, it's 3.14 because they're back to back or right next to each other, has the same radius, which in that case is a 5, so that's 5 squared, but has a different height, which is 10. Again, I need to divide by 3. When I do that, again, I have to do all that rounding, or that rounding there, so that's 261.7 inches cubed. And again, those numbers come from having to do the rounding, which I showed you in the earlier problem. Now to get the total, that's 340.2, 261.7. Add those together, 9, 1, that's 10, carry the 1, 6. So 601.9, and again, now this is inches cubed. I hope that helps you with the guided practice, understand what you need to do as you move on to the problems in the independent and dependent practice, extra practice.